you're going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. Everybody talks about the risk to reward ratio with a deadlift. And I think with the it is simply the worst risk to reward ratio in terms of lifting ever. Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. My name is Andrew and this is my fitness channel. Before we get into the video today, I'm just going to ask you to go down and hit the subscribe button if you've been enjoying this content. Maybe hit the like button. It helps me out a lot. It's my goal by the end of the summer to have 100 subscribers. August 31st is the date I set. So if you could help me reach that goal, I'd really appreciate it. So today I'm about to go hit some legs. Before we do that, I'm gonna mix up my Savage pre-workout from Raw Nutrition. If you wanna grab some Raw Nutrition products, go down to the link in the description or go to their website and use my code AndyLifts. You'll save 10%. It is leg day and it's kind of early in the morning still, so I'm hitting a good old double scoop. And we'll throw some creatine in there as well. So it's leg day, and I figured what better video to record on leg day than a leg day tier list. I know everybody loves tier lists. I am addicted to watching tier list videos, and I haven't seen one talking about all of the different leg exercises. So I'm going to make one. Before we get into our little tier list here, I want to explain a little bit of the rules. Everybody knows here on the left side we got S tier through D tier. S tier obviously being like goated exercise, like these are the best leg exercises. And D tier is not so great. I think all exercise is awesome. Anything that you do that you enjoy, keep doing it. So I'm not going to put anything in F tier because I don't believe that there is any truly F tier exercises. If it's performed safely with the right safety equipment, spotter, and a weight that you can handle, I think every exercise is great. Just some are obviously a lot better than others. So let's get into it here with the first exercise. We have goblet squats. We're going to start off with a hot take here. I do not like goblet squats. I don't think they are a great exercise. Especially when we're talking about legs. Legs are a huge muscle group. They require a lot of strain to make them grow. They take just so much stimulus. You could do 100 goblet squats, and if you're not using a heavy enough weight, you're not really going to get a whole lot of growth out of them. And the problem with goblet squats is you're holding the weight out in front of you like this, trying not to fall over, so you're using a lot of your abs and your core to keep you balanced. So you're not really able to get a whole lot of output. And for that reason, I am going to put goblet squats, hot take, D tier. Again, that doesn't mean that you can't do goblet squats or that they're bad. It just means I don't really think they're a great exercise for growing your legs. Next, we're going to move to the opposite end of the spectrum here. We have leg extensions. Specifically, this is a seated leg extension. It looks like maybe a hammer strength machine. It doesn't matter what brand of machine you use. I think pretty much every leg extension is going to be great. It hits the legs in a way that is very difficult to do them without a machine. You kind of are hitting your quads in that shortened position, and it is very hard to find a way to hit quads in that way with your legs up towards your torso and extending them like that. That's a tricky position to get into, and the leg extension machine is a great way to utilize that positioning and get some unique stimulus to the muscle. So I'm going to put leg extensions in A tier. Next, we are going to kettlebell swings, and another hot take. If you're a big kettlebell person or CrossFit person, you're not going to like this, but I think kettlebell swings are honestly worse than goblet squats. The range of motion is so short, you're not really working on sort of time under tension. You're not able to put a whole lot of load onto kettlebell swings. It's a great workout, especially if you're doing sort of like a HIIT workout, Tabata sprints with a kettlebell swing. It's just not a good leg workout. Nordic hamstring curls. I think these are a fantastic exercise. There's not many options for hitting your hamstrings in terms of isolating them. You basically got leg curls and maybe RDLs, but even then you're not really isolating your hamstrings. The only trouble with Nordic hamstring curls is that you have to be very strong to be able to do them properly and see benefit from Nordic hamstring curls, especially if you don't have any sort of assistance with a resistance band or somebody kind of lifting you up. So those are going to go in C tier. I have implemented them before And it took me basically the entire life of my workout program to be able to do 10. I got a lot of growth out of it, but again, especially if you're just starting out with exercising, stay away from these Nordic hamstring curls until you get a little bit stronger. All right, for the next one, we have good mornings. I actually think these are a great exercise, especially for your posterior chain, sort of your spinal erectors, your hamstrings, your glutes. Great exercise. However, the weight being put so far out on your shoulders, I think that it is not a very safe exercise. Again, especially if you're not really strong enough to do it properly. That might get moved later as I think about these more, but for now I'm going to put it in B tier. Again, great for growth of the posterior chain, but it's kind of a precarious position, especially when you're putting enough weight on to where you're actually going to see growth from it. It can get a little bit sketchy. I'm going to do both of the calf exercises at the same time. So we have a standing calf raise, and then somewhere in here we also have a seated calf raise right here. And I am going to put the standing calf raise in A tier, and I'm going to put the seated calf raise in B tier. Both great for growing the calves. I think people do not work on their calves enough. Basically, you have two muscles in your calf. You have the gastrocnemius, which is the larger muscle. It's a type 2 muscle, which means it's a lot more used for power output and strength output, whereas the soleus is smaller and it's a type 1 muscle, which means it's going to be used for a little bit more endurance type work. Basically like walking or running, you're going to use your soleus a lot. Jumping, squatting, anything with high power output, you're going to use the gastroc. And the gastroc actually crosses the knee joint, so it connects sort of on the back of your femur. That basically means that you're going to see more benefit in exercising your gastroc by having a straightened leg because you have stretched it out more, whereas if you're in a seated position, it's going to be shortened and it's going to be a whole lot harder to put strain onto the gastroc in the seated position. I think both are great for growing the calves, but because of the gastroc being the larger muscle, the one that can see more power output, crossing the knee joint, I think by standing and having it stretched out a little more, you're going to see better growth of your calves. Next, we're moving into a straight leg deadlift. I think that the straight leg deadlift is going to be A tier for sure. It's great for your hamstrings and your glutes. You are less likely to hurt your back because you're not going to be able to use as much load. So you kind of have a better risk to reward ratio there. If you're stuck between straight leg / Romanian deadlift versus a good morning, I would 10 out of 10 times choose the straight leg deadlift. I like to work in both every once in a while because they're both good exercises, but I think that the straight leg or Romanian deadlift is just better in pretty much every way. It's safer. You can put more load on, which means you're going to get more stress, which means you're going to get more growth. I just like to do it better, honestly. Next, we're going to move into Bulgarian split squats. This is a hot take. I know a lot of people like it because it feels like they're doing a lot of great work because it's so hard. I think the only problem with Bulgarian split squats is that it is just so hard to do the actual exercise, and if you've never done it before, it's great. I recommend everybody try them and work it into your program. You'll learn that it is such a hard exercise that it is really hard to put any sort of good load onto your legs. And so because you're so fatigued and you don't get as much stimulus, I don't think that it's going to be one of those higher tier exercises. But if you're really looking to kill your legs and you really like that feeling of burning and being out of breath by the time you're done with an exercise, I would recommend Bulgarian split squats. However, if you're looking for pure muscle growth, development, getting stronger, maybe stick to something else. Now we're going to go on to sissy squats, and these are going to be an A tier for me. This is one of those situations where it, again, puts your legs into a position that they're not really used to being in, sort of that really stretched position to grow your quads. There's not many exercises where you can fully stretch out your quads and get to a full contraction. And so for that reason, I think that sissy squats are going to be an A tier. Standard deadlifts, whether it's conventional or sumo, I'm going to put in B tier. It is not really a great leg exercise, especially for the whole risk to reward ratio. I still do deadlifts. I love deadlifts. And I think you see a lot more back growth from a deadlift than you do leg growth. And for that reason, actually, I'm going to move it down to C tier. In terms of legs, deadlift is not a great exercise. However, if you want to grow a dense, strong back, definitely work deadlifts in because you're going to be working your entire back, your entire posterior chain, and you can really load up a deadlift and put a lot of weight on the bar and get a ton of stimulus to your muscles. Especially if you do it correctly, you're going to lower that injury chance and get a lot of growth out of it. So definitely work deadlifts in, just maybe not on a leg day. Glute kickbacks, automatic D tier. I do not like this exercise. I don't like to watch people do it. I think that it is a terrible exercise for your glutes. There's so much better exercises you can do. Can't really fatigue your muscles very well. Your glutes are one of the strongest muscle in your body, and you're putting like 30 pounds on it to be able to do the kickback. I just don't think that you really see much benefit from how light the load is, how hard the exercise is to do properly. Not a great lift. Stay away from it. Like I said, if you enjoy it, do it, but it's just not for me. Moving on here, we have a leg press. This is gonna be an A tier exercise for me. There's so many variations of the leg press you can do to focus on your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads. You can even use the machine for your calves. And if you have a bad back, it's great because it puts no strain on your back. If you have bad hips, maybe not such a good exercise, but you can still get a lot of work out of a leg press, even with bad hips. It takes so much strain off your knees. It takes so much strain off your ankles. This is really an exercise I'd recommend for people who are getting into lifting, who want to get a lot of power output and kind of have weaker joints. This is a way you can start to strengthen up those joints and also build muscle at the same time. Glute bridges, S tier. I don't know why more people do not do these hip thrusts, glute bridges, whatever you want to call it. It is one of the only exercises you can do that will really isolate your glutes. Too many guys do not do them, and I think that we could take a note from our female gym rats here doing more glute bridges. It's going to strengthen your hips. It's going to strengthen your glutes. It's going to grow your glutes. Who doesn't want a big butt? Why are guys ignoring hip drive, glute bridge, whatever you want to call it? Great exercise. Lying hamstring curls. And while we're at it, we're also going to do seated hamstring curls. I believe that the seated hamstring curl is superior. Both are great exercises, but with the seated hamstring curl, you can really stretch out your hamstrings and go get a huge range of motion because you can get fully all the way extended, and you can curl all the way back almost to where your leg is touching your butt. And just the amount of range of motion that you get compared to a lying hamstring curl is awesome. I like the seated hamstring curl as well. Our hamstrings don't see a lot of benefit from a shortened position compared to being fully stretched. It's still a great exercise because you can do a good amount of output and really isolate those hamstrings. But I just think that working them in the shortened position on the seated hamstring curl is far superior. Walking lunges, B tier. They're good. They're not great. Not a whole lot to say on either side. I like to do them. They're good for overall leg development. The only thing I would say, don't do like in this picture carrying dumbbells. I mean, you can. I prefer to do it with a barbell on my back. I'm not going to tire out my grip or my arms by holding it. It's a little bit easier to hold the weight on your back, and you can put more weight if you're doing it with a barbell. So good exercise, solid B tier. Belt squat, slept on exercise. However, so many gyms don't have a belt squat, or they have the belt squat but the belt's missing somewhere. So if you have it in your gym, definitely do it, but just for the reason that it is pretty uncommon, I'm going to have to put it in C tier. All right, front squat, D tier. I hate front squats. Putting the load in front of your neck as opposed to behind your neck on a back squat, I don't really see a reason to make the exercise harder for your core and take a lot of load off in order to be able to do it properly and not getting as much stimulus to your legs. If your goal is to grow your legs, don't do a front squat. If your goal is to do CrossFit or Olympic lifting, do front squats because they're very useful for that. But on a leg day, stick to back squat because that's what's going to grow your legs. And speaking of front squat, we'll just go ahead and hit it. S tier, you hit pretty much every muscle in your legs, either directly or peripherally. Number one leg day exercise, if anybody is asking, oh, it's leg day and I don't know what to do, squat. Squat, squat, squat. Everybody should be squatting. Everybody should know how to do a proper back squat, barbell squat. It is the best overall leg development exercise, and I love seeing people do squats, and I wish that more people would fall in love with the squat. Another S tier leg exercise. I kind of saved the best for last, -1 down here, but hack squat. Second, I think it's runner up to the barbell back squat. It's great for quad development, one of the biggest muscles in your body. I think it might be the biggest muscle group in your body. It has all of the benefits of the barbell back squat. You can see a lot of similar benefits to the back squat. Since it is a machine, you don't have to stabilize yourself, and so you're gonna miss out on that little bit of engagement. But I think that overall, the hack squat is a very close runner-up to the barbell back squat. And we're gonna get into the most garbage leg workout on this entire list, barbell step-ups. If you do barbell step-ups and you genuinely enjoy them, that's fine with me. Keep doing it. But if you don't love doing a step-up, then stop doing it. It is so dangerous. It's so easy to fall off of that box, and especially if you have any sort of load on it, which you should if you're trying to grow your legs, and you fall with a barbell with weight on it, or with dumbbells or a kettlebell or whatever weight you're using, you're gonna hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. Everybody talks about the risk to reward ratio with a deadlift, and I think with the step up, it is simply the worst risk to reward ratio in terms of lifting ever. You're not getting very much stimulus because you can't step up very high. You have to really load yourself up for it to be very challenging, and then if you load up the weight and you fall, you're done. You're not going to be in the gym for months at a time. It's just a terrible exercise, and I think that unless you really love this exercise, stay far, far away from it. That's my leg day tier list, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was pretty informative. If you have any questions about any of these exercises, leave them in the comments. Or if you want to see a different kind of tier list for either a different day, like arm day, chest, back, any of those, or any other kind of tier list, leave it in the comments, and I will definitely be sure to hit it because I do like making these tier list videos. Just let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next video.